What's going on, guys? Hope you're having an amazing day today. My name is Steve. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to UK water towers. Specifically, I'm going to be reacting to a video titled The Wonderful World of Northern Water Towers. I believe this is titled Northern Water Towers because the person making this video is exploring different towns within the north of England, if I'm not mistaken. And so all these water towers are going to be from those specific areas. A few weeks back, I reacted to a video about some of the differences between the UK and the US. And one of the things that came up in that video is that the US has a ton of water towers. Like nearly every town has one of these gigantic water towers. And I've also noticed in the comment section of the video that seems to be correct that you guys don't have as many water towers. But the one thing that I noticed in that video and that I've seen some people in the comments talk about is that the water towers that you do have are very unique. They're actually beautiful. The ones I saw in that video, those few images were really beautiful. I think they were brick and maybe even some really cool ornate designs on your water towers and whatnot. Here in the US, they're generally just most of them look pretty much the same, except they're painted different colors. They'll have the town name on them or maybe some sort of logo or something like that. And they do represent the community with, like I said, with the town name or whatnot, but they're all basically the same and they don't just generally have much character like what I saw briefly in that video and what it seems that a lot of you have described in the comments of that video. So I think he's going to be showing some really cool water towers, which I'm interested in. I think this would be really interesting to kind of see this difference in, you know, the water towers I'm used to seeing here in the US. Like I say, they're pretty much all the same. And then what you guys have in the UK. But anyways, guys, enough of my rambling. Let's go ahead and dive in and check out some really cool UK water towers. Wow.
Now, I very easily become obsessed with seemingly obscure subjects, and none more so than this. This is a landmark Victorian building on...
Is this a water tower? I mean, I'm guessing it is because that's what we're talking about, but that is the most unique water tower I've ever seen. We definitely don't have anything in the US that looks like this when it comes to a water tower. Like I said, all our water towers look exactly the same for the most part, different size and different paint, but yeah, so that is very unique and it's beautiful.
On a hill overlooking one of Britain's largest cities,
water get
Liverpool.
stored?
And like many Victorian public buildings of its era, it's aesthetically pleasing and extremely well built.
Wow.
But all of that beauty hides a very basic function. It's just a place to store water.
How? Where do you store it?
Isn't that a bit unusual? Well, the answer to that is a resounding no. In fact, this is not the only structure like this in the area. In fact, there's a whole array of such structures like this across Merseyside and the surrounding counties. Welcome to the wonderful world of water towers.
I agree, man. If we had water towers that looked like this in the US, I would definitely say it would be the wonderful world of water towers trying to explore them because that is a beautiful structure, man. Obviously, it had a very real purpose, but I can't figure out how does the water, where's the water get stored at? I'm used to seeing water towers where it's just like a big, it's really tall and then there's just a big, you know, area on the top where the water's stored at. And is the water stored up in the top here somewhere? Or is it like, I don't know. Let me know in the comments or maybe he'll talk about it.
When Britain's towns and cities experienced huge population booms in the early Victorian era, what followed was a rapid spreading of slum housing, disease and death. A strong supply of clean, safe drinking water was the most important factor to public health. But laying down a network of pipes to supply it to millions of people across the country was a huge undertaking and posed many problems. For one, how do you keep pressure in the pipes up during times of high demand? Water treatment works, reservoirs and pumping stations are not the most glamorous of Victorian undertakings, but they are arguably one of the era's biggest achievements. And water towers were part of that. But no one ever really established a universal design to be adopted.
Oh my goodness. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I don't want to pause too much, but wow. It's amazing to see. This is a water tower, obviously, because that's what we're talking about. But if I saw this, just walked upon it or saw it on any other video that wasn't talking specifically about water towers, I would have no idea this is a water tower. This looks like some sort of just a really cool just building that someone lived in or something. I mean, it's very interesting that it has these windows. I can't quite understand where the water is stored at. I mean, is this got to be up top here? I mean, obviously these are windows, so the water's not stored right in here. I have no idea. But wow, just beautiful, beautiful structures to store water. It's pretty amazing. I wish that's what our water towers here in the US look like, something similar to this.
Established a universal design to be adopted across the board.
I mean, look at that.
And so what you get is this wonderful array of designs,
wow,
some of which don't seem related in the slightest.
Okay, I don't want to pause too much, but here I go. But this looks similar to what we have, except it would be steel instead of, let's say, some form of concrete or something. But this looks kind of similar, but not exactly to what we have in the US.
But they all have the same function: to deliver water in underground pipes to the people that need it most. You and me. So, how do they work?
Essentially, it's quite simple, and you can tell by the two characteristics they all have in common. They're all tall structures, and they all hold a body of water off the ground at a given height. And that's it. Most of the structure is empty, which is why some water towers have large holes or spindly legs. The essential bit is to store the water high above the ground to enable gravity to push the water into the pipes and keep that pressure within the pipes up. Okay, so that's enough about how they work. Let's keep looking at some of the best we've got in the Northwest.
Norton.
Right, so this one here is Norton Water Tower on a small hill overlooking Runcorn, and as you can see, it's exactly the same, or similar at least, to Everton Water Tower. It's got that late Victorian look to it. The red sandstone, the rounded arches, the cornice around the top, and then at the very top, the iron water tank, which holds all the water, and it still holds all the water today because this is still an active site. This is still used by the utility company, United Utilities, as a water storage site, which is hence why I can't get any closer than where I am now. But I did used to know somebody who works for United Utilities, and he very kindly sent me some pictures of what it looks like on the inside.
Oh, that's cool.
So this cracking photo shows the two main elements of our water towers very, very clearly. The up and down pipes forming the central core structure, and the huge water tank sitting way up at the top. And around that you've got a lot of empty space. But notice something else most water towers have in common. In this case, the halls on Norton Water Tower provide free lighting for anybody working inside.
That's interesting.
Right, so this next one is completely different. It's insanely different. So, I'm in Prenton now, on the Wirral, the end of Reservoir Road there, junction with Tower Road, and this is it. This is Prenton Water Tower.
What? Okay, so I'm guessing... All right, so is this the water tower where the water's held up here? It's got to be because it's the top of the water tower. So now I realize, looking at those structures, they're so different from what I'm used to seeing in the U.S. I couldn't quite understand how are there windows in it, but it's basically, it's the same thing as what we have in the U.S. They're just more beautiful. You have basically the rest of the structure can just be whatever. It can be windows. It can just be beautiful, just beautiful designs and stuff. And then it's only the top that's actually holding the water. So it's the same as we have in the U.S. It's just, they just make them more beautiful. So that makes a lot more sense to me now that I know kind of what I'm looking at. This one to me isn't,
and it's completely
this was just
different.
unique.
It's a huge building, it's nothing like the other one.
It's like a building, not instead of a tower.
There you go, and it's still in use, as you can see. United Utilities still use this. I think the use of this has been changed so that it's now part of, it's been altered so it's an underground reservoir. Okay, so this is Flay Brick Water Tower now over on the Wirral, and as you can see, it's got that late Victorian style to it, very similar to Everton and Norton Water Towers. This one is still in use though, and you can see the big cast iron water tank up there sat at the top. But still, it's nice to get this close to one, even though I can't get any closer. It's nice to be within this distance of one.
Okay, so, you know, when I was looking at these at first, I really wasn't sure what I was looking at exactly when I was looking, you know, when I've seen these windows and stuff in them. But now it makes total sense that the water is held on top like all water towers. And they just decided to make them really beautiful and to stand out as just beautiful structures. You know, it really seems like the Victorian people really went out of their way to build incredible structures. And I'm wondering, why in the world do we not have any really cool water towers like this in the US? At least I've never seen them. I've only ever seen like just regular old water towers that, you know, they might paint them pretty cool or something. They might look, you know, interesting or unique based on how they painted the top, but they all look the same. They don't have these beautiful buildings around them. They're just towers themselves with nothing special about them. But I love this. It's such a beautiful structure to a town to have this. You know what I mean? It's so cool.
And see all that wonderful detail on the architecture there. Why put all that effort into a water tower? I suppose the question is, why not?
Yes, why not? Love it, man. You would never guess that's a water tower. Like so many of these, I would never guess they were water towers. I just think this is some sort of
now I'm stood in a
apartment building or something.
So this thing here, this
small
castle-like water tower, huge, right in the middle of a neighbourhood.
This one at Wallasey is a great example of that lack of uniform water tower design. Left to the free will of architects and engineers, water towers like this began springing up on the edge of settlement.
Look what that does for the town. It's just so unique.
1900 shows when Wallasey Water Tower was built, it was next to old farmland. But the nearby terraced houses were already under construction. And like many water towers around Britain, this one soon found itself knee-deep in them, looming over the houses like an ancient castle keep.
Wow, man. That's so cool.
That's that one done. Move on to the next one now. If I can remember where I parked the van. Okay, so this next one, an absolute beaut. Look at this.
Wow.
No, I've not just started doing a video about castles. This is a water tower.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, a little castle.
A water tower built in 1905. So it's not technically Victorian, but look at the effort it's gone into it.
Wow.
It's not a water tower, that's a medieval castle.
Yeah, it looks like a very small castle. Looks like someone lives there.
But it's still in use. And this,
it's incredible.
Long area here, behind the scaffolding, behind the roadworks,
reservoir.
The old reservoir. Part of the old waterworks, 1905, over 100 years old. Look at it. Now, one thing I've begun to notice is that these water towers are all deep within residential areas, surrounded by houses. They're not in the middle of nowhere like you would imagine. And that's because that is their purpose, to serve these houses, to serve densely populated areas. I mean, look at it.
You know, that's something interesting as well. In the US, I mean, you do have some water towers within a neighborhood sometimes, but for the most part, when I think of water towers, they usually seem like they're kind of on the outskirts of town or something. Very rarely do I see them kind of in the middle, you know, surrounded by a bunch of houses or something. So that's interesting. I will say it seems like a lot of these are smaller than the ones I see in the US, but they're just so much cooler. They're probably smaller because they were built back in a time where, you know, there was less population in the surrounding area. They seems like there is one in a lot of different communities. In the US, they tend to, I think a lot of them are newer than these. Obviously, these are like 1800s or, you know, early 1900s, it seems like. So that makes sense why these might be a little smaller. The amount of water they would hold a little less water, but they're just such beautiful structures.
It's a castle. It's a castle.
It is a castle.
Why have they done that? Why have they put
Don't tell me. You can't tell me any different than that is a castle.
Design into it. It's just a water tower. be great to get in there and just have a look around.
I'd like to
Imagine
too.
It's got dungeons and everything. Sadly not. Sadly not. Anyway, moving on. Let's find the next one.
Is that the one we saw at the beginning of the video? I think it is it? It kind of looks like it. Wow.
Which brings us to Everton Water Tower.
Yeah.
This at last is one that is neither in use still, nor one that has been demolished or turned into housing. Standing proudly at the edge of Everton Brow, this true Liverpool landmark can be seen for miles around.
Wow,
Built in
dude,
1857,
that's
this
beautiful.
gargantuan water tower is made up of 3 stages. A
1857.
bottom layer of 12 rusticated arches, a middle layer of 12 taller arches, all connected internally by a complex support structure, and a top layer where the tank once sat.
Oh, the tank's no longer there. What is this then? I thought that was the water tank.
Once surrounded by a web of terraced streets, its position high above the rest of the city made it an ideal place to store water, cleverly using gravity to keep pressure in the pipes nice and high. It was designed by Liverpool's first water engineer Thomas Duncan on a site adjacent to a large underground reservoir. And now we can finally see the truth about water tower design. Why build it to be attractive? Well, partly because Victorian engineers loved a bit of over-engineering and were very proud about the aesthetics of all of their constructions.
You have to be proud of something
But also
like this.
because it had to be. The water tank at the top of the Everton Tower needed to be supported by a big, solid stone structure, simply because it weighed so much.
Right. It's amazing they
Anything
even
less
lifted
than
something
this
like
wouldn't
that
have worked.
back then.
And we find it so attractive because, well, it's round, it's red sandstone, and it's simple. And for whatever reason, the human brain generally likes those 3 things.
And this one's for sale. Look,
Oh, wow.
anyone want to buy a water tower?
If I had the money, I would, man. Put it,
Cost you a few bob.
create a house out of that thing, man. It'd be a big house, but that'd be pretty cool to say you live in a water tower.
Right, so this is the one I've come to see south of Ormskirk. In fact, this is the one I've been wanting to see all day long. Look at it. This is Scarth Hill Water Tower. It's like a UFO land.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
But unfortunately, I can't get any closer to view it, to film it.
Oh, man.
Because
Yeah.
it's highly monitored by United Utilities, who own the site. But what a thing.
Now, you won't be shocked to hear that this modernist concrete UFO hasn't been here for long, relatively speaking
That
at
looks
least.
pretty new.
In the early 1970s,
Oh.
after surveying the numerous water towers around Ormskirk and deciding they all badly needed repair, the authorities decided to demolish a host of them and build
Aw.
this one instead.
Why? Why'd you demolish them?
With a capacity of 400,000 gallons, more than double that of the last one,
Wow.
this new mushroom-looking tower would do the job of many. And like Everton and Norton water towers, Scarth Hill is now a local landmark. That
I can
also
see
seems
why.
to be a common theme for our water towers.
Absolutely.
Not really in our thoughts, but always in our landscape.
Right, got one more to go now, but we're losing light. We're losing light, boys. So, got to crack on. Hopefully we'll get there before dark.
That does not look like a water tower to me at all. I don't know what it looks like, but it definitely doesn't
Right,
look like
so
a water tower.
made it at last. This is the last one of the day for me. This is Tower Hill Water Tower in Ormskirk, and it's beautiful. It's simple. It's got a Romanesque
Yeah, it's
design
very simple.
with the holes.
But I agree,
the-
it is beautiful.
The arched holes there, and as you can see, there's no water tank on top. There would have been a cast iron water tank up there, sat on top of the brickwork, but there's nothing. That's because it's not in use anymore, obviously.
Right. That's why
But
it
the
didn't
reason I
look like a
wanted to
water
come
tower
to
to
this
me.
one so desperately, when the moon is out and everything, is because this is apparently the oldest water tower in the country, dating back to 1854, at least the oldest surviving water tower in the country.
Wow.
And the fact that it's still here, on the edge of an allotment, next to a busy road, houses around it, when it could have easily been demolished and thrown away or forgotten about, is just fantastic. And it's a testament to the longevity of water towers as part of British society, British culture, and our community. So that's it from me, and that's it from the water towers of Merseyside, the Wirral and Lancashire today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. It's certainly a niche little passion to have, but aren't they just amazing? This is a water tower. It's the most utilitarian kind of thing you could have. It's boring, but look at it. They made it look
It's not boring though. I get what he's saying.
We've seen some fantastic ones today. So we've seen the Victorian grand red sandstone Victorian ones, like this. Different designs, round ones, square ones, castle ones. And we've seen a futuristic one just down the road from here at Scarth Hill. It's like a UFO landed in brutalist Soviet Russia. But anyway, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Wow, guys. This was an incredible video. I'd been wanting to kind of learn about your water towers a little bit since I did that previous video where we briefly touched on it. But I was under the impression, based off comments and stuff, that you guys just didn't have many water towers. And that video itself, that was one of the things it was talking about, how in the US we have a lot of water towers, but you guys in the UK didn't have many water towers. Or I don't even remember if he said there was none at all, but like that's obviously not the case. You guys seem to have a lot of water towers. They're just hidden in plain sight in a lot of cases like this. Like so many of these, like you would not, if you weren't looking for it. A lot of people, no, like who would think that's a water tower? I would not. And maybe for people that think, oh, there isn't a lot of water towers in the UK, maybe it's because they just see buildings like this and don't even think they're water towers. I know I wouldn't, unless I'm from that area. There's no way I would assume this is a water tower. Now I'm going to be on the lookout for these. So now I'm probably going to be more likely to notice when a building like this is a water tower, because you can kind of see, now that you're looking at it, you can kind of see, okay, this is a water tower. But before seeing this video, I would have had no clue that so many of these were water towers. Like, I mean, I would have just thought this was a really cool building. I would have had no idea. That's so awesome. And I wish we had these types of designs for water towers. But I will say this, looking at the end here, where is it at? The saucer looking one right here. Although this is definitely a really cool looking water tower, I gotta say, it's not as cool as, you know, some of these others like this. They definitely built the water towers to look really awesome back in the 1800s and early 1900s. Compared to what they do now. And don't get me wrong, like I said, this saucer one looks really cool, but it cannot touch the design of these earlier water towers. And I know in the US at least, the houses, the buildings in general were so much cooler, so much nicer. The architecture is just so much grander. Go back just 100 years ago. No, not even that long ago. If I go back 50, 60, 70 years ago, the buildings just look better. It's like everything in the US at least has kind of just, they don't put as much artwork into the structures anymore. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a water tower or a house or a bridge. They all seem to look better. I guess when you go back to the Victorian times, or when, shortly after when we were coming out of the Victorian times, the 1800s, early 1900s seemed to be a heyday for making really cool looking structures. Even before that, though, in the 1700s, and I mean, obviously in the UK, your history is so long, you go back, 1,000 years plus, and, the designs of the architecture of these different buildings, the old churches and everything, just amazing. But let me know in the comments, guys, do you feel like in the UK as well that the effort being put into the artistry of designs, whether it's bridges or buildings or water towers or what have you, houses, is not as great as it was, 100 plus years ago? I really feel like that. It's just, it's easy to see that they don't put as much artistry in these structures anymore. I mean, look at this. How cool is that? How cool are so many of these? Look at the effort they put into these water towers. I mean, that's, like I said, that's one similar to what I'd see in the US. But still, I'd say that's even better than what we have here in the US. Ours are all just these plain structures. This does have some ornate artistry to it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's no water towers in the US that are cool. I just haven't seen them. Maybe I should look and see if there are any. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be somewhere in this country some really cool water towers. Just where I'm from, where I'm at now, they're all just the same little water towers or big water towers that are just these steel structures, and it's just they're plain with some paint on them. Yeah, these are really cool though, guys. I'm glad I watched this video. If you have any other things like this to recommend to me, please do so in the comments. I love checking out things like this. This is the type of thing that I would consider just random. It's a piece of British culture, British history, the British landmarks, and so forth that I would never usually think about. But I watched that video and it got me thinking about water towers, and I wanted to explore the water towers you guys have over there. But I'd love to find more unique stuff like this. So if you have, I don't even know what those things would be. And that's why I'm asking you guys, if you have things that are similar to this type of subject, just random, really cool things about British or Irish culture, please let me know in the comments. I will, as soon as I see them, I bookmark them. I try to check them out at some point when I get the chance. But I love this type of stuff, guys. It's just so random, so unique. But it helps me learn a little bit more about your culture, about your history, and so forth, and just really cool architecture, which I really enjoy. And you guys have a ton of really cool architecture in the UK. But anyways, guys, enough of my rambling. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Until next time, guys, peace.